Hey, what's up guys, Kadachi here and welcome back to the channel. Got a really crazy build for you guys today. It's going to be a build with the wand Adonias Ego that they added in the mid-season unique buff patch. I've been trying to get a build going with this wand for quite some time. I've been looking around seeing if anybody else could get a build going with this wand. I found literally nothing. So I tried even harder and we finally got it going. So this build literally just started as an Arctic armor Bloodmage, just like Kaltorix. He said in his video that there was way more investment that could be put in, and I figured why not, well, not even, nothing else really would work with this wand that I thought of at the moment. And Arctic armor seemed to be the only smart decision, just use the wand as a buffer, and that was perfect, but it left me in the position of not being able to do bossing, just as Kaltorix said, since bosses don't melee you as much, and the only one that really does is King of the Mist. Now, with that being said, what the wand does is it gives you access to try ailments and 8% more damage per power charge used. After playing with the build more and doing more boss testing, I was noticing how big the Ignite from Arctic armor was, and the tooltip was quite high when getting the Pinnacle of Power buff. I then thought to myself, maybe we can utilize this in different ways. So I did more testing, and I looked into how Lexi U's Comet build functioned on bossing, and we took a bit of inspiration from our Cast on Ignite Ember Fusillade build. I then realized, why not just run a Frostwall Comet setup in a Cast on Ignite? It worked out perfectly. When you were hit once, it is enough to proc Cast on Ignite because we retain the DPS from our Arctic armor setup. And you have the ability to use an actual skill. In our case, we use Arc for mapping since it chains and has such a high base damage. And when buffed by Pinnacle of Power, it is much higher. We make it electrocute for more defense because we need as much as possible in this particular setup. Adonias Ego gives you negative all res per power charge, which is pretty crazy when you look at it. But a lot of blood mages were already utilizing Veil of the Night this season, which makes you have no res, but heavily promotes life stacking, which is what we decided to do. Personally, I found this enjoyable because I just wanted to get a build with this wand going. I have major plans for it in the future when they add certain things, but in my honest opinion, it is not a group mapper. You rely too much on having your own kills, just like normal Arctic armor and builds like Flicker, which require you to have your power charges. And in terms of solo mapping, it is quite dangerous, but it can be done. I deem this build as a heavy pinnacle content farmer until we get more life scaling options to mitigate the no res negatives. What I really like for the mapping portion is that you can run any spell you see fit for your style. I run Bone Cage, Detonate Dead, Ice Nova, Cold Snap. Everything is good. Do keep in mind we are utilizing Trample Toe for more AoE. I've tried it without it and it's really good, but I think we need more defensive options in game before we can try to do that. All in all, this was a really interesting concept to put together. It's not that I just want you guys to run this particular setup. I think many options can come from this, so I'm sure one of you guys will figure it out better than I did. But enough talk about the build, let's get into the gear. So starting with the weapons, you're going to want two Adonias Egos. One is going to be for your main DPS, and the other one is going to be to maintain the same amount of power charges on weapon swaps when using the Sacrifice Profane Ritual. I don't know how much these +1 power charges go for this late in the league. I got these literally the day they came out. But if you can't get a +1 power charge, just get two regular ones so you can have the same amount of power charges. Next, for the rings, you're going to be looking for cold damage or fire damage with max life, max mana, and strength, and dex or int. These are going to be for stacking options because we're using Archmage, so you're going to want as much int as possible, and you're going to want as much strength as possible because we're also life stacking. And here's our other ring. You're also going to want Chaos Res if possible. The only reason I don't have Chaos Res on these rings is because, well, nobody's crafting these and nobody's playing at this point in the season. But in a realistic scenario, you would want as much Chaos Res as possible in this build since we aren't utilizing any Elemental Res. Since we're running Crimson Power, we don't need a chest piece that has any Ellie Res, so that makes it a bit cheaper. But you do want the highest Spirit and the highest ES. Those are like the major mods you want on it, and then you can get Intelligence for more mana. For your helmet, you're going to want a build of the knight with the highest max life corrupt. For your amulet, you're going to be looking for plus spells, high spirit with max life and mana. Honestly, your amulet can be super crazy. You can get attributes, crit bonus, a lot of damage options. Nobody's just crafting anything with max life and mana at this point of the season. For your focus, you're going to be using a Wrath Fist with the highest damage corrupt. These are actually dropped down in price. I got this for like 30 divs, so I want to pick one of these up since we're life stacking. For the boots, we're going to be running Trample Toe. These help tremendously with more AoE pops and survivability as well. For the belt, you're going to be wanting to get to max life, max mana, and strength. Those are the most important ones. And I'm pretty sure you can get Chaos Res on the belt as well, so that's something you would want to look out for. For the gloves, you're going to want max life, max mana, and Chaos Res. You want to try to get a double socket or any corrupt sockets on any excess pieces of gear so you can socket max life runes in them for more life. You're also going to want to pick up a minion scepter with as high a spirit as possible for your sacrifice profane ritual setup. For your flash, you're just going to want the highest health recovery as possible. And before I got my hands on a mana on kill jewel, I was running one of these. Helped a lot, but it is not a necessity. For the charms, I chose the Black Cat for some lightning damage on Lucky and shock immunity. You want the freeze charm, and you can choose a rite of passage charm of your choosing for your final one. So I don't run these anymore, but you can pick up these Grand Spectrum rubies if you want to get more life stacking or more defensive. I decided to just run more damage jewels where I can, and I have a mana on kill jewel in there as well. So I didn't really care to use a high spirit corrupt helm in this setup. The only one that would really benefit this setup is a 30 spirit corrupt. If you do or want to get a 30 spirit corrupt helm, you can then take out charged infusion and run blasphemy and get more damage that way. We swap out Trample Toe for power treads for our bossing every time. These boots are super crazy, giga damage. They give us like double, triple the amount of damage tooltip we have on base, so definitely want to pick up these with the highest corrupt as possible. And in a perfect world where you don't have to run Trample Toe at all, you can pick up boots like this with max life movement speed, preferably Chaos Res, and eventually 100% increase effect to socketed items, but I would not advise getting any boots like this until we get the power to not run Trample Toe. So before I show you guys the actual tooltip for the build, I want to really show you its truest potential, because we really had to lower the main DPS to opt for the Frostwall Cast on Ignite setup. But if you were to just truly scale into one skill, I really want to show you the true potential of how high we could get that one skill to. So starting with this, we're going to be going through the starter tooltips for our Arctic armor. And then I will show you guys what we ended off with as our highest tooltip. Now keep in mind, this is all just with basic Pinnacle of Power and just running the Power Tread boots. This is without any buffs from any bosses, ads, killed, crit, nothing like that. So we can reach well over 3 million DPS tooltip, and this has a lot of potential for many different setups. Now this is the final tooltip we ended off with, so this is what all your skills should look like in the end. And if you would like to see the skill gems and their links, here you go. We swap out inspiration from our Frostwall to our arc during mapping, so make sure to do that. Alright, so starting with the Ascendancy, we're going to be taking Sanguimancy for the life remnants, into Vitality Siphon for the Spell Leech. We're going to come over here to Grasping Wounds. Now this is very important for our survivability. Very good that we take our damage over the next 4 seconds. So we'll pick this up, and this is also huge for our survivability and damage. We're taking Crimson Power, so try to get the highest energy seal chest piece as possible. Now for the tree, we're going to be moving up to the right side, picking up these attribute nodes. You can take the Critical Overload node if you have a level available, but I could not take it. We're going to come over here to the Critical Exploit for some crit. taking the power charge nodes here. Now this tree here is a complete option since we are tri-Ellie. This is really good damage, but I decided to come up here and take the extra fire damage instead since we're running Ignite. So it's completely up to you. We're taking the cold tree just for the cold level, more damage. Coming over here, getting the storm charge. Here's one of our jewels with the mana on kill. You definitely want to pick up one of these. It could be better. You don't really need the energy shield. Come over here and get the crit damage bonus, and we also have an Arctic Armor +3 Prism of Belief, which actually isn't too expensive at this point in the league, so get one of those. For our weapon set 2, we have the Minion Revive Faster. I don't know what other nodes would really benefit our weapon set 2, but you definitely want to get these. Taking the crit to spell nodes over here. Trigger nodes over here for some triggered spell damage, and here's our other jewel. Really cracked out on the crit spell, some cold. Taking the crit nodes here, more trigger nodes here. Make sure to pick up dynamism, and we're taking the entire crit tree here. You can pick up these nodes if you want to, but you don't really need to. Our Megalomaniac is Lust for Power, which is giving us another power charge, and it also has Exploit, which is giving us damage for enemies affected by Elemental Ailment, which is pretty good. Make sure to take up the +2 power charge nodes here, and coming down here for the crit damage bonus, and then we're going to end it off with the crit chance, crit damage bonus here. And you're making sure to get an Against the Darkness with extra fire damage, extra cold, whatever you want. I had extra chaos before this, but whatever you can afford and whatever you want for your build. It's completely universal. So lastly, I want to show you guys the bossing rotation. It's actually really simple. So we're going to bring out our skellies, the normal profane ritual sacrifice setup, get our maximum charges, activate our pinnacle of power, and then we place down our conductivity, which is tri-exposure. So make sure to have all the exposures linked to this, and then we're just going to frostwall the boss, and that's going to be it. If you guys did enjoy the video, please like, comment, and subscribe. I always enjoy putting out a new build for you guys. 0.3 is right around the corner, so there will be more builds, hopefully before and after. I watched Darth Microtransactions video, and he says 0.3 is going to be a banger, so I believe him. I love GGG, so let's look forward to the future, guys. If you guys do have any questions on this particular build, please do leave a comment. I will answer them. With that being said, I will see you guys in the next one.